Hello and welcome back. So now we are going to add our source folder, which is the SRC folder, and then we are going to update our .env file. Okay. Now most of the things we have here that I copied from the auth service, we are still going to reuse them apart from MySQL. So you can remove MySQL if you still have it. Okay. So instead of MySQL, right here, maybe I'll call this database underscore URL, and this is going to be MongoDB connection. Now to connect to MongoDB, so I'll say MongoDB : /127.0.0.1:27017/ now you can add your database name, so I'll call it Jobber users. Now, one important thing you need to note, if you have MongoDB service running on your machine, okay, even though you have the service running or you have the container running on Docker, please, I will urge you to stop the MongoDB service running on your machine, because if you start your application, the application will use the connection from your local machine and not the connection from Docker container. Okay, so that you don't get any confusion and start wondering, okay, why can't I find my database? If you have MongoDB running on your local machine, stop it, because we are going to be using MongoDB container running on Docker, because we already started it with Docker Compose. Okay, and then we have the same gateway token, JWT token, node environment, API gateway, client URL. For this, I don't think we need the client URL, so we can take that out. And we need RabbitMQ. Then we need our cloud name and cloud key and secret. And then we need to add also Redis host. Okay, because we are going to use Redis here. So Redis host, I'll set it equal to, let me add the protocol, which is Redis : // so localhost : 6379. Okay, so this is how we connect to the Redis instance running in the Docker container. Okay, and then we have this search URL, server, and secret token. Okay, so these are the environment variables that we are going to use in this service. Now you can go ahead as usual, create your config file. Okay, so config.ts. okay, so create your config file and then update it. Okay, now we are also going to add Cloudinary. I think we need to install it. So if I go to config here, we need to set up Cloudinary, because we are going to be uploading images. So if the seller is creating an account, then we need to upload the profile picture of the seller. Okay, so or some images for the gigs, we can upload that as well. So go ahead and install Cloudinary. So npm install Cloudinary. Okay, once that is installed, here I will just update my own config and then show you how it looks. Okay, so this is my config setup. Okay, apart from the enable APM, Elastic APM server URL, and Elastic APM secret token, every other environment variables have been added and defined here. Okay, later I'm going to show you how we are going to use that also in this file, but I'll show you once we get to that point. So now we have our config. Okay, let's go ahead and add our database. Okay, so here I'll create a new file. I'll call this database.ts. Okay, so for the database, we will need to first add our logger. Okay, so I'll say const log of type logger. Okay, from Winston equal to Winston logger from our library. And then here I'll pass in my config.elasticsearch URL. Let me import config.elasticsearch URL, and then the name of the service. The name of the service is user or users database server. Okay, and then debug as a log level. Okay, so we have this. Let me fix the quote. This should be at users. Okay, then the next thing is just to create the connection. So I'll create a function here. We can use we have been using regular functions. Maybe we can use an arrow function. I'll say database connection. So let's use an arrow function equal to async, and this will be promise of type void. Okay, and then I'll add the try catch. Here I'm supposed to add this. Okay, and then this is going to be log.log, error as the type or as the level. The message will be users service database connection method error, database connection method error, and then we pass the error object. Okay, so this is the part. Let me export this. So export database connection. Now let us connect to the database. It's very easy. So here I'll just do await, and what we need to connect with have not been installed, Mongoose. So let us install Mongoose. Okay, so npm install Mongoose. Okay, so just install Mongoose. The reason why I'm installing Mongoose is because I want to use it as the ORM. I don't want to use the MongoDB driver itself. Okay, so instead we're using Mongoose, and we're going to set up like we did with SQLize. Okay, and now we can use Mongoose. So await Mongoose dot connect, and then here we can pass our config dot database URL. Okay, and then I can log.info, say user service successfully connected to database. Okay, so right here now we have our database connection. All we just need to do is make use of it. Let us go ahead and create our app.ts. Okay, and then here I'm going to create the initialize function, initialize, and I'm using an arrow function. Okay, so this will return void right here, and we can use this or call this database connection method. Okay, and let me import this, and I can use this initialize. Okay, this is going to be at users. Now one other thing we need to do, if we go to config, we need to use this method Cloudinary config. Okay, we need to use it here as well. So I'm going to call the Cloudinary config. No, it's not. It's going to be, let me see how I used it in the user service. Yeah, so it's going to be config.cloudinary config. Okay, so use that right here, and then let me import config at users. Okay, so we have now set up the app.ts, but we will update this later. Once we set up our server, we have set up our database, we have set up our config. In the next video, we are going to set up Elasticsearch.